State Sponsored Programs Foundation, and the role of the SBDC Lead Center, and then the role of each service center, local county service center's financial host organization, and then the roles and responsibilities for each service center in relation to the financial management of the grant. If you do have questions, there's a chat feature on Zoom, and you can do a specific chat, kind of a chat message to me, and I will try to be paying attention and try to address your questions. I want to make sure to get through the each of the sections and cover the material, and then kind of ask questions maybe at the end of each of these 4 sections. So I'm hoping that sounds okay to everyone. And I'm, of course, willing to stay on the line longer if there's specific questions or have individual follow-up as needed too. So also, if there is any background noise, please mute yourselves. I think you might all be on mute already. Rebecca in our office is trying to help out with that. So, all right, we'll get going. So, Humboldt State University Sponsored Programs Foundation is the fiduciary host of our region. And that means that they get the master contract from the federal government. And that master contract is about $2.8 million. And that contract is between SPF and the SBA. And then from that master contract, there are 10 approximately sub-awards that are entered into with different county organizations. So for Napa and Sonoma, it would be with the Napa Valley Community College, with Contra Costa. It's a municipal government agency. We have some local nonprofits. It could be different organizations. And I am going to go ahead and take my video off because I think it's probably just distracting as we go through the slides. So the role of Sponsored Programs Foundation is to administer the SBDC award and many other grants. They administer other research grants related to academics. In relation to the SBDC, they administer other cash match grants and program income funds that might be related to the SBDC program. And they review invoices, quarterly invoices that come in from each of the service centers, and they are responsible for submitting all reports to the SBA. So if there's any reporting that we ask for, quarterly invoices, other reports, they come to the lead center, we collate them, work with you about discrepancies. They go up to Sponsored Programs Foundation for an additional review, and then they're submitted to Washington, D.C. And they interface, Sponsored Programs interfaces with outside audits. So every year they have an A133 audit themselves, and they also assist with the review of local service center host audits and compliance around that. And there are financial examinations that Sponsored Programs is interacting with Washington, D.C. around. of the SBDC program. And then in addition, I work with the compliance officer, William Cook, at Sponsored Programs Foundation to do financial examinations of the service centers. So any of the items that we're looking at and reviewing, that is because Sponsored Programs for the region is also having those same criteria that we're being looked at and examined and having to report to Washington on these items. So Sponsored Programs participates in the fiscal reviews. And so then shifting gears a little bit, the next topic is the lead center and the role with the lead center. Before we do that, just are there any chat questions, or if you want to unmute yourselves, any questions about the role of sponsored programs and the relationship between Washington, D.C. and the role of fiduciary host that Humboldt State Sponsored Programs has? Okay. And if you think of anything kind of later on, if you want to write it down, and we can loop back around and come back to that too. And another thing to be thinking about that I think is helpful is that whenever there are discrepancies in your finances, Sponsored Programs and the lead center has to take it personally, in a sense, that those are discrepancies in our bookkeeping system, in a sense, because you're sending quarterly invoices up to Sponsored Programs, we're paying those out, and if SBA decides to disallow something, they're going to come looking to Humboldt State Sponsored Programs, and they're going to ask for Humboldt State Sponsored Programs to write them a check. And then we would have to come back to the service center and try to get reimbursed. But that is why we're so picky about it's a cent off, it's that it needs to be exact, because we're the people that are on the hook. Okay, so the regional lead center, the role and how we interact with the SBDC contract is to assure regional adherence to the financial policies and procedures such that the lead center and subaward contracts are compliant with all auditing entities, and provides leadership during SBA financial examinations. We oversee the preparation of regular financial reports for the SBA and other funding entities, and manage financial reporting timelines and activities. And there's coordination of annual subcontracts with the sub-centers and host institution, and preparation of the program budget, review and approval of subaward invoices for reimbursements. Those are the quarterly invoice packets. And conduct financial reviews of the sub-centers and host institutions. And so I sent out a list last night, actually, of the financial review dates, looking back at 2016. And I know, Lourdes, that I messed up on a date, and I'll fix that for you. So that's that part. And interprets and maintains compliance with pertinent federal, regional, and local laws and contractual regulations. Provides training as needed for service center accounting staff on compliance issues. And that's it. I think another thing to keep in mind is that at any given time, the lead center is also running service centers, or I guess it's Sponsored Programs is hosting service centers. It depends on the situation, but that we're doing the accounting. I guess that's the right term. So we're doing the financial accounting and assisting with that for several centers at a time. So for Marin County right now, we are temporarily acting as the financial sponsored programs is acting as the financial host. And so that means that I'm assisting Miriam, their director, with financial oversight. For North Coast, they're now going to be permanently hosted by sponsored programs, and therefore I work with their director, Layla, to do quarterly invoices and ensure that grants are being managed financially. TFG, that working with their director and their grants. We've hosted Alameda before, Silicon Valley. So besides oversight for the region, we've had Sonoma before. So we've also assisted in the financial management of other centers. Any questions about that? Okay, so kind of switching gears to the local level. So the service center host versus the service center itself. And sometimes, especially for new hosts that come on, it's unclear about who's supposed to do what, and it can be flexible about how that works. So kind of going through, the general expectation is that the fiduciary host would be administering the SBDC award, so it would be the sub-award that sponsored program sends out. So they would administer the SBDC award and any other grants that come in for the local SBDC. They're the signature on the agreements and the sub-award contracts. They prepare the quarterly reimbursement invoices and submit these reports to the lead center. So they're responsible for ensuring that the financial reports are accurate and have complete transactional detail, etc. Ensure service center financial compliance with related contractual requirements and government regulations. So it would normally be the service center host that would have standard policies and procedures in place, that they would say, this is our personnel policy, this is our, these are our accounts payable policies, these are our independent contractor policies, this is whatever the policies are, and they apply to all of our different organizations that fall underneath us, including the SBDC. So when the SBDC grant comes to this new host, the SBDC shouldn't have to recreate the wheel or come up with their own policies in a lot of cases. There's certain ones that are specific to servicing clients and SBDC client activity, but they shouldn't be having to recreate financial policies. Provide and develop required policies and procedures related to financial processes, travel, conflict of interest, purchasing, how to track equipment, record retention, cash handling. Participate in annual SBDC fiscal reviews as part of the HSU sponsored programs and lead center subrecipient monitoring. So when I come and do a site visit in the spring each year, then there's a financial person from the host that I normally meet with, and there's questions that I have that normally the service center director is not able to answer because they're financial and they're related to policies and procedures and how invoices are processed, or what happens when a journal entry needs to be processed, or different situations that would be financially related. Any questions about expectations for service center hosts? All right, so switching gears to the service center. So the service center is overseen by the SBDC director, and they are responsible for the programmatic as well as financial budget management of the grant. So normally the service center director would be preparing a budget, and in many cases it would make sense for the service center director to be meeting and reviewing that budget proposal that gets submitted each year with a finance person. I mean, I've been doing this for about 5 or 6 years, and I submit my budget to Sponsored Programs Foundation because there's always something about fringe benefit percentages or something that I mess up on an indirect calculation, or there's just so many details about a budget that you want someone to double check it for starters, and you should have it reviewed and approved by the financial host for the service center. I think that's just a good habit. And so they would be responsible for budget management, though, preparation of the annual program modifications if you need to turn in a budget modification. And that happens in the end of October after we've done 3 quarters of spending. And the review and approval of the quarterly reimbursement invoices. So if the service center host prepares the quarterly invoice packet, the service center director does still need to see it, understand it, and approve it. And just one example would be, this is a year-end time right now for us. And so what could happen and what has happened is that an accounting person could say, oh, okay, I'm supposed to turn in a quarterly invoice, so I'm going to turn in the expenses for October, November, and December on those, once those months closed, and I'm going to do that. However, consultants are working in December, and they're going to turn in their invoices in January. And so those expenses are going to get posted in January, hopefully in January and not all the way in February. So that's where the service center director and accounting need to be working closely together at this time. That right now I'm emailing our accounting department and saying, these are some outstanding January expenses. Please mark them as priority. Please get them posted in January before the month end so that I can prepare my reports. And I'm going to need to make sure that I'm including those December expenses, goods and services incurred during 2016 that were posted in 2017. I need to include them in my year-end grant reporting. So that's where you need the program knowledge and the accounting knowledge and kind of be working together. Preparation and participation in annual fiscal review. So this, the center director is kind of the key person that coordinates the financial review, and I send out a list of everything that's due and should be prepared ahead of time. and that's the service center director's responsibility. If they don't have those documents, then they should coordinate with accounting or whoever they need to coordinate with. And I'm happy to have individual calls with people and centers and kind of walk through and figure out, okay, in your center situation, I think that, you know, accounting would have this, your service center might have this, and clarify things. That's fine. Management and oversight of financial reporting, deadlines, and activities in coordination with host. So we have a regional calendar, and it does get updated periodically throughout the year, but the financial deadlines, for the most part, don't change. And every quarter, I'm going to send out a new email that's going to give the instructions and a new Excel template on how to fill out the SBDC quarterly invoice. And I do try to include the financial people for each of your centers. However, it is the service center director's responsibility to make sure, in coordination with the host, that deadlines are getting met. So I don't expect accounting people at Humboldt State, they've got a million different things to be doing, to be paying specific attention to my reporting deadlines. So if something's coming up, I remind them, I'm, you know, getting ahead of it and talking to them about it, and not just making an assumption that this is their priority just because it's my priority. And I think that is it. So if there are any questions, it's not that much. I hope it's not overwhelming. I'm trying to get this to be kind of short and sweet and then have time for discussion. Yeah, just let me know. And I think we can take people off of mute, Rebecca, if people have questions. Okay, so all right. Well, if there aren't any questions, I'm glad. And okay, someone's asking for copies. Yeah, so I can definitely give copies, and we're trying to record this too, so we'll try to make this as easy as possible. Oh, and then, okay, another question is there a calendar of deadlines and due dates? Yes, so that is the region calendar, and that is going to be part of your contract. It'll be one of the exhibits, and then plus, I believe I just sent it out with an attachment last night with the due dates for, or I'm sorry, the financial review site visit dates.
Hi there. This is Marianne. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So I did get the calendar for the review dates, but thought I had seen at some point a calendar that had like all the deliverable dates.
Yeah, and so did I remember to attach that to my email as well? Scott? I did.
Is it this region calendar?
Yeah, region calendar.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have opened that one.
Yeah, and then it's also, we have a way, I believe Christina had sent out some instructions in early December, but we can send them out again if needed, about how to integrate your this region calendar with Google so that you can actually see these deadlines in Google. It's pretty cool. So it overlaps with your Google Calendar if you have one.
Okay, and it probably in December it wouldn't have come to me.
Ah, right. Okay.
Wasn't
I'm making a note. Okay.
So if you could send me that instruction.
Mm-hmm. To Mary. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, maybe if I'll try to send it out to everyone again, just in case. It probably doesn't hurt. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. All right, well, good. I'm glad that we're able to kind of keep this short and sweet then, and then it doesn't take up too much of your day as well. The other sections will be a little bit longer, but I'm trying to break them up into kind of manageable pieces so it isn't too overwhelming each time. And that we can, you know, given people situations, dig in and talk about things more as needed. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And I'll send out a link with the slides if you want to share them with someone else who might have not attended. And if we were successful in recording this, then how to access that as well. All right. Go ahead and sign off, I guess.